Yeah, that's probably. So we're going to call this meeting to order at 6:32. It's the Public Safety General Government Committee meeting. And in here we have Carol Menkins, we have Jeannie Edwards, and we have Michael Tierney. As members of the committee, Michael Tierney is acting for Rennie Scott Childress, who is maybe still in Europe, I'm not sure. He may show up late, if he shows up late, he can go. Okay, well, CAC update, I got a note from Emily. She's not going to be here. So that agenda item is pretty quick. EMC update. Mayor Noble has nominated Emily Hauser to fill the vacant position on the Ulster County Environmental Management Council. It's been endorsed by our Environmental Council. So that's kind of all there is to that, Emily. I did talk to Emily today. She's anxious to take this on. Any discussion? Anyone want to make a motion?
That we approve the appointment, it's an appointment.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think Emily would be a great fit for the environmental management council.
I think so too. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Done. Good. The next item, 161 Fair Street, removal of a no parking sign. Alderwoman Edwards. Do you want to speak to it?
Well, they just said they'd like to have it removed and move forward with it. It was a commercial property and now it's turned into a residential property. So they don't need the handicap sign.
It's on. That's all right. Do you want a motion?
So I'm looking at we approve the no parking sign, 160, the removal of the no parking sign.
Second?
Second.
Good evening. We got another one.
My name is not on this. Is this a portent?
Oh, wait.
I don't know. Or you, I don't know. You can be Michelle. You should be on this. I don't know why. It's hard to keep track of these.
1, 2, 3, you got it, good, right?
We've been joined by Drew Andrews. He's running tonight.
Okay, ready?
You could be running if you want. Well, you have to be yourself.
I mean, wait, is he okay?
He's in Europe. Yeah, he's okay.
Good, don't worry about him.
He's having a great time.
So you want to sign?
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to remove the one no parking sign at 161 Fair Street. And it's been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Done.
Wait, are we on?
We are.
I am not on this.
I know.
Do you have the right one?
I don't know. These are the ones that I downloaded from somewhere. I would suggest simply cross out and put your name in. And they'll figure it out later. Just figure out that. Okay, we have, the next item would be a stop sign and crosswalk at Cornell and Tremper, Alderman Tierney.
Yes, this comes at the request of several of my constituents in that part of town, Tremper Avenue, Hardsley, Smith. It becomes difficult to make that left turn without the three-way stop sign. I know what John said. I took that way here today and I was waiting to make that left for quite some time. The sight lines with the foliage, it's hard to make that left. And Jeannie has had her constituents reach out to as well. That's a very difficult part of town to get through. And you have the train and everything, it just makes it 10 times harder.
So you don't think taking down that tree is the answer?
It's not consistent, and I think that would, if you don't mind me speaking.
Go ahead.
I think that would be really good that we don't have any public safety issues on that term, because like Michael said, there's been a lot of people talking about it, and it only makes sense to me as I went there a couple of times. you're sitting there for quite a while, you can't see, you're inching out, next thing you know, someone's coming by. So I think if we could just slow it down a little bit, you know, and put a stop sign there, it'll make a little safety.
John says no. Okay.
John says that it is not the recommendation of the engineer.
And the reason that it's not his recommendation, tell you why?
Yeah, I saw his email, I
I haven't
respect
seen
it.
his email, I just.
Oh, I can, I'll read it out, I feel like that's only fair. But I think that that's, I think people, we heard it last night about Smith Avenue, not last night, 2 nights ago, the mayor and I had a work meeting about Smith Avenue, about people speeding, I think people do that as well on Cornell Street to just speed up to that stop sign for some reason in front of the post office. But I think that if we put the stop sign there in Cornell, it just leaves another roadblock to slow down traffic. Allow everybody to turn, people to cross there, there's already the crosswalk.
Crosswalks are there, yeah.
Which is great, but crosswalks are of limited use if there's not a stop sign, if people don't feel safe crossing them. And that's why you've got people coming from Boyce's, you've got kids, you've got people in strollers, you've got people with limited mobility. Rather than make them walk to a much safer crosswalk up, 300 feet up with the rail trail that is a little more noticeable that somebody's coming. I think the stop sign in every direction will.
And you have a lot going on with the
What did
post
John say?
office there,
John said, I can pull it up, sorry.
a lot with the post office there, people pulling in and out. There's just a lot of stuff going on there.
So John has said, the proposal, this was from yesterday, Tuesday, the 21st. The proposal to install stop signs at Cornell and Tremper is not supported by the traffic engineering considerations of the MUTCD, which is escaping me what that stands for.
Manual uniform traffic control devices.
Because the volume, because the volume on Tremper is considerably lower than the volume on Cornell, all-way stop is not warranted. An exception to this might be if there was limited sight distance at the location, however, this is not the case. Engineering does not support adding a proposed stop sign at Cornell. I would dispute that because we do have a ton of traffic that is seasonal coming from Boyce's. Right now, there's probably 50 people right there. A lot of them are walking, a lot of them are coming from Smith, from down, on the other side of the train tracks. A lot of people with strollers. They're not gonna walk all the way up to the rail trail to walk all the way back just to cross Cornell.
Well, there are crosswalks at Tremper.
Sure. But I don't think that,
Both sides.
oh yeah, I run that way all the time.
Yeah.
I run further up to cross the rail trail because people don't stop for you there.
And I strongly agree with Michael.
Yeah, here's where his fear, and the traffic engineering fear, is that if you put a stop sign at Cornell and a 3-way stop, you're gonna end up creating crashes on Cornell. People are gonna stop at the stop sign, you're gonna have rear end crashes. So stop signs, it goes, to put it in there as a traffic calming device, which is really what we're talking about here, is really counter to everything that engineering says, traffic engineering says about that stuff, because they don't want to increase rear end crashes. Now, the tree is a problem. When you come out of Tremper and look to the left toward the post office, that tree is a problem, and it's old and sick, and
Are we gonna cut down the tree?
I'm not, it's not our tree.
Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying it's
That's
not our
not
tree.
a,
I'm saying, but, the sight distance is affected by that tree more than anything else.
yes,
So that's, so I kind of with John on this, that I don't want to create crashes on Cornell as a result of our using these signs as a way to control.
I mean, I'd rather have a rear end collision than, somebody in a stroller getting hit because nobody's stopping for it.
All right, well, the law is you gotta stop.
I understand what the law is, but that's after the fact.
People
can we
have to
put a
step up.
sign up by the tree, or can we do something of that sort? I really do, because so many people have complained about it,
Mhm.
and your meeting, people have complained about it, what about a yellow light then? There should be something there, because first of all,
Right.
the people are complaining, and, warning comes before destruction.
You can put, a warning sign that there's an intersection ahead. But in an urban situation, that's not typical. It's one thing that I suppose could be done, but check the manual, see if it's.
Now, is that tree definitely dead, or is that just your opinion?
Tree's definitely not ours. So it's not my issue, they're not our issue.
I mean, I think if we put in those, the buttons that you press like you have on Broadway that flash when you,
Oh, a hawk sign?
I
that
think
might be
that
a-
might solve some of the problems, but that still wouldn't solve the problem of sitting there in Trumper Avenue in your car waiting to the left. Which I'm less concerned about than pedestrians crossing, of course, but the complaints are both from drivers and from pedestrians.
Do we want to send it back to John and ask for him to look at a hawk as a solution, which is the.
I would be
pedestrian
fine,
aspect?
I would be fine with what warning is best for that intersection. I respect that he feels that a stop sign is not.
Right.
So yeah, I'm willing to, I just think there needs to be some warning about pedestrians crossing one there.
But, given that the trail crosses there as well, there's an argument to be made that some sort of a special treatment, like a hawk sign or some other thing might be a better solution.
Yeah,
Could I suggest maybe something that is at least seasonal from, April through November, or now. Climate change, maybe it'll be year round, but the concept of, the pedestrian warning placards that we put right in the road could go at the intersection in the crosswalk areas. To be able to, one, that's going to, create a required moment of consideration when coming to that intersection, one, to look out for pedestrians. But it's also gonna have them slow with the turning traffic, because if they're turning, they're gonna also have to slow to maneuver around these areas of the road.
Yeah.
And they're only like $70. Compared to 15,000 for a rapid flashing beacon.
And I think that's a good point, especially because it is largely a seasonal crosswalk.
and can we have that tree examined?
Well, the tree's not ours. I mean,
It's not private property, but
Right.
if we see that it's a danger to the community because it is dead, we could definitely issue a violation. Because it does hang over the public right of way.
Yeah.
But we could send someone out to look at that. But I would suggest, I think that if the concept of those placard things are needed, like DPW could order those for you tomorrow. And we could do that as a test to see if maybe that could resolve some of the issues without getting all the way to the level of a stop sign. Maybe this could be a first.
I think that's
And-
fair.
First step,
Another point with the placard is that when the placard's in the roadway, it slows people down as a lateral obstruction. People see it and they don't. And,
they're not sure, yeah.
that's a great solution. So we'll send that back to John with that suggestion.
Sure, I'm happy to make the motion.
Okay, so what is your motion?
Well, do we even need a motion or?
I don't think we need a
postponing
motion.
it?
We can just send it back to John and say, take a look at this solution.
Yeah, we'll look at
See if he's okay
those.
with the placard.
Yeah, see if he's okay with the placard and,
Great.
And we could send something to, get the tree.
You might want to mention it's the mayor's suggestion.
I don't know about that. Okay. Good, so we're, all right, so we can move on with, note to John about the placard. And I don't know if he wants to, I don't know if he has to treat people or Ed does, but that tree's not dead. It's just in the way. It's old, but it's been trimmed up a lot, but I don't think it's.
We could take a look at it, if we feel, something has to be done. That's for sure. We're going to stop signs, because we're right, everybody stop type of thing, because we don't want the public,
Right,
having any
yeah, we
issues.
don't want anybody hurt out there, for lots of reasons. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, should we look at, the next item is, school zone safety cameras. We have to do another, resolution for the, Senate and the Assembly to give us a local Local home rule requests, because they changed some of the bill that we passed the home rule request last time. And the changes are not dramatic, but it's complicated. I mean,
Yeah,
they got
it's just
serious.
what-
Talking about getting serious.
Last week, I got a call, the both bills are, advancing through the legislative process. They're now at the point of, on their side, the legal review. And when they looked at the review, they looked, the last bill had 20 cameras in them, which would have been enough to do all of our school zones, generally speaking. They got feedback from the legislative council saying that as a pilot project, they're not allowed to do all of the schools. And so they now came back to us that, they then asked, well, how many school zones do we currently have in the city? We have about 6 designated streets that are in official school zones at this point in time. But we have, and so they said that they'll basically give us 3 school zones. And so, but what's, in essence, though, they're gonna give us 3 schools. So we can pick 3 Kingston schools that will then be able to have cameras all around the schools on any street that meets the criteria to be able to be in the school around them. And so that will, again, not meet all of our schools, but it will meet, a good number of our, what we're trying to accomplish with the pilot. And so it's not the ideal, but they said that if it works and the pilot is successful, we would then be able to expand potentially into more areas of the city once we have collected this data as a part of the pilot. And I guess that's what they've done in New York City. And so New York City started with very concise school zones. New York City's program has grown to 750 zones. Within a few mile radius of a school, basically anywhere that a child would walk from could be included. Ours is not that yet. Ours is just literally the school zone, which for driving is literally, the school has to be abutting the street. It has to be, generally a certain age group, and then those are the school zones. So like some of our schools, for instance, Grove Street, JFK is a designated street that's on the school, but Delaware, where everyone drives and walks, is not, because the school is not on Delaware Avenue, the school is on Grove Street. And so New York City, they got permission from the state to expand to whole neighborhoods. And New York City also can do them 24 hours a day, even when school is not in session, where our bill requires that it's 1 hour before kids arrive, 1 hour after they leave, or any time during after-school activities can be monitored. And so there are some differences between, say, the New York City program, which has been around for a while, and ours. But our program is at the beginning, and I think they're pointing to me when I express my disappointment in this process of reducing the number of areas we can have, was that we can grow. And we just need to start somewhere with the state. And so that's what this is. It's basically, we would have access to have 3 schools. Once this is passed, which hopefully it will be, and then get signed by the governor, which hopefully it would. This all then has to come back to the council to get put into our actual city code. And at that time, we would designate which schools, you all would designate which schools after consulting with our engineer and all that stuff. But that would be a local decision that we make.
Would we be able to then do longer hours then, once we designate the schools like the city does?
No,
So that's just it, those hours.
it's
that's-
1 hour before, 1 hour after, and during after-school activities, which then gives us some flexibility. But
for the pilot. we're talking
for the
Yeah,
kids.
that's
Just-
Yeah, I'm talking about-
If everything goes well, after probably the first 5 years of this, or I think this extends through 2029.
Mhm.
After that, we then have the ability to, hopefully, they're gonna give us more privileges, like New York City and others.
Because we're growing too.
Yes, and so that's the hope.
Does it include, say, summer school?
It says school activity,
Activity.
and so I do believe summer school counts.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I'm gonna vote for
And
that.
it's onerous data requirements. The data you have to gather is crazy amount.
But it's really like a research project, for us, but it's, I think, a valuable research
Every
project.
ticket and ticket by speed and ticket by, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, we get to see everything that's really going, yeah.
Seems way too detailed for the state legislature, however. So do we have a motion to,
Make a motion to pass
second
this.
any? Any seconds? Okay. Any discussion?
I think you said it all.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? None? That's the agenda.
I know, that I'm like.
Wait, what? So do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second? All in favor? Done, okay.
Except for-
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Matt.